Hello and welcome to the next edition of the BobCAD-CAM webinar series. Today's topic is the Stock Wizard and machining features. This is day 2 of a 3-part series. The first part, day 1, we did design. Today we're getting into machining. All right, let's see. The goal of today's webinar is to cover common CAM features you'll use every day. And as you know, my name is Al DiPaolo. I'm the voice of the BobCAD After Dark video series. You guys can find me on Instagram at BobCAD-CAM, hashtag BobCAD, hashtag BobCAM, hashtag made with BobCAM or BobCAD. Hopefully we'll see you over there. Now, what are we going to learn today? Well, today I'm going to go through a number of different topics that have to generally do with the CAM side of the software. So we're going to look at setting up the job. We're going to look at, where you can put your zero, different ways to set your zero, some of the new features in version 32 as far as the CAM tree templates, and other ways to shortcut your programming, and really just to speed things up and show off the new features and just general features in the BobCAD software. Now, as you know, with BobCAD, you can expect fewer steps, better cuts, and more profit. Okay, and at any time, if you guys have any questions during the webinar, after the webinar, if you're watching this a rerun, you can always give us a call, 877-333-4903. Again, that's 877-333-4903. All right, let's get out of this. Let's open this up. Let's do a little roll call. If you guys can do me a favor, how you communicate with me is through the questions area. So just real quick, who you are, where you're from, what version of BobCAD you might be running. If you're running another CAD-CAM system, that's fine if you can comment that as well. Also, what brand machine you might be running, a mill, a lathe, a Haas, a Herco, whatever it might be. It'd be great to just get a little information from you guys, okay? All right. Let me see here. There's a couple of things I need to set up on my end. I hope you guys are having an amazing Wednesday here. Excited for day 2. I know I am. All right, let me just set my screen up here in the background so I can see what's going on. Okay, I have my attendees. All right, let's bring this out. Very good. All right, we got a lot of people in with us here today, or a fair amount, I should say. The goal is to do these on a regular basis here in 2020, so I look forward to getting to know lots of you. I want to say thank you for Gary from Oregon, Mark, Michael, Felix, Michael, Ron, Joe. Thank you all for coming here today. Jeff, Scott, Larry, David Wood. He's Missouri, Mill 32, version 32 Mill turn. We got 32 Pro, Haas Mills and Lanes. All right. Chuck, thank you for joining us here today. Ray's coming in with Katia. Thank you so much. We got Richard. Thanks for showing up. Mark Cross, Terry, Robert, Tom, David, Joe, Jeremy. Thank you, each and every one of you, for spending some time with us here today. Looks like we got a good mix of 31, 32, and other customers here. So thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. Now, let's just jump right into it. So in the previous example, we went through, in day 1, we went through some of the different ways to design this part, right? So, again, using wireframe, developing surfaces and solids, being able to use the CAD history tree. So today we want to talk about machining. Joe from Texas, thank you so much for showing up with us here today. We want to talk about machining, right? So when you're talking about machining, we're going to be in the CAM side of the software here. This is the CAM tree. Again, this is dockable, so you could have it on the right side. You could have it on the left side. You can even put it on a different monitor if you'd like. This is the area of the software getting into. Also, this CAM tab up here at the top, this has some of those options as well. Creating a new job, creating a job from template. So to begin with, I'm going to start with this new feature here, which is create a job from a template, okay? Now, we can either load it from up here, or we can use this icon here, and let's take a look at this. So we're going to say create job from template. For the most part, it looks the same, but you're going to see this job template and then there's this pull down. And what you can do is save your CAM tree out as a template, and then you can use that as a starting point for future projects. Okay, so I'm going to go to webinar day 2, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, when I do this, oh boy, I don't have my CAM tree. Okay, when I do this, what the expectation is that all the machining features that you had previously set up would be loaded in there, and it looks like I might have made a mistake. So let me try to do this again. Let's go ahead and delete this. This is webinar day 2. Okay, there we go. I'm not sure what happened there. But what we're looking at is, instead of a blank CAM tree, what we're actually getting is a preloaded CAM tree. And then inside of here, I have a number of different machining features. Now, what's really cool about this new feature, the CAM tree templates, is it's going to bring over things like the tools that you previously had set up in the system, right? So I got all my tools in here. The other thing that it's going to do is whatever the stock that you had set up, that's going to come over as well, okay? And the machine 0, this one's just on top center, but you're getting, you can templatize your entire CAM tree, and this is great for part revisions, this is great for family of parts, this is great for standard workflow. So first thing I wanted to talk about had to do with this new job templates, and it's one of the ways that you can really get the most out of your BobCAD system. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, because I've preloaded this template here, is I can come in here and basically calculate some toolpaths that are already set up being applied to the geometry. Now we're going to get into the facing. The facing function has changed a little bit, but again, I'm just going to go through a selection process here, and then I'm going to be able to compute the settings that I've used for this feature in the previous job, right? So my depth of cut, my width of cut, my stock for finish, clearances, all those settings are there, you know? So I was able to quickly face off the top of the part. This one is using advanced roughing, and this is just clearing the stock from the outside in, okay? My next step here, I want to drill a pilot hole, right? Now, not everybody will start with a pilot hole, but it's also common for you to come in here and to maybe drill a pilot hole, saying this is where I want my tool to start from for like a pocket routine or something like that, right? So, okay, here we are, we're spotting, we're drilling. Okay, the next one here is this inside pocket. So what's really cool about these CAM tree templates is you can set up these settings here, and then really the machining process becomes more of a selection process, right? So, okay, in this case, what I wanted to do, let's look at this other section here, right? So this one, I drilled this pilot hole, right? So we drilled the pilot hole. We want our tool to start in there in the inside pocket, right? This inside pocket here, you can see where the tool's starting, but it's not using this starting point or this pilot hole that we had drilled. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on this second one here, I'm going to repeat the same process and show you how you can use a drill tip position. So I have this point located in Z where I've drilled my pilot hole to. I'm going to select that as my drill tip position. Okay, what that's going to do is tell it where the pilot hole is, and then as the tool comes down into the work, we'll see that it comes down right on that point location. All right, so this will work with 2D adaptive pocketing. This will also work for 3D advanced roughing. Okay, all right, I got an outside profile here. Let's go ahead and select this. Again, this model is all just surface edges. I don't have any wireframe other than those point locations. When you're getting into profiling, you can just right click on surface edges, choose constant Z, okay? That will populate in the selection manager. From there, you can go to your chain, profile chain, so you can set your start point. You can come in and set your depth, okay? We'll get that going and compute this one. So that gives me the profile for that one. All right, this one is going to be this next outside edge, doing the same thing, constant Z. We'll go to a top view, come over here, set where I want to lead in and lead out. Okay, we can compute that one. All right, so that gives us that profile. This one is for drilling the holes here. So in this case, I'm going to select these cylindrical tubes. I could pick the, let's say the top edge of the hole. I could also pick the bottom edge of the hole. When you're setting up these types of drill features, you have this point arc usage that you can take advantage of. So what that will let you do is, either use the point, ignore the Z and just find the XY, use as the top, use as the bottom. Okay, so we'll get all those set up and compute and compute. Okay, so that drills out those holes. All right, the last one here is this Z level finish. I'm going to window pick the entire model. All right, this one I want to use some boundaries on, so I'm just going to come over this surface edge, right click, constant Z. I'll move over this one, right click, constant Z, choose OK, and we'll compute that one as well. All right, so lost sound. Michael, if you lost sound, that's probably something on your end. I'll check. Everybody else, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just raise your hand. Yeah, okay, so you guys can hear me. So sorry, Mike, I don't know what happened on your system, but maybe try logging in with a phone number. Okay, all right, you got it fixed. All right, so that is just a quick rundown. The webinar started at 1 o'clock. It's 1:11. And you could see rather rapidly, I mean, I haven't machined all the features on this part, but you can see we were able to face it down. You could see we could do some outside roughing, okay? You could see we're able to drill these pilot holes. We did our inside pocket. We did another inside pocket here. This all happened very rapidly. And again, the idea here is to be able to use these templates in order to speed up your programming. Now, let me ask you a question. There's a number of people in here. Raise your hand if you think using these templates is something that could benefit you in your shop. I'm just trying to get a feel, okay? Yeah, Tony says yes. Let's see who else. Okay, wait, Mike says yes. All right, Mike. Another Michael says yes. Matt says yes. Absolutely. This is a huge feature. I really can't, I don't think you can really underestimate it, but it's one of the things, like when we're looking at version 32 and programming in BobCAD now, being able to utilize templates, being able to default the toolpath wizards, being able to define custom machining strategies and load that right from within the system, that's definitely the way to go. And yeah, there's a lot of people, Joe, Ray, Brady, Michael, Lennon, Mark, everybody's like, yes, this is a great feature. We use it on Cimatron all the time. Absolutely. These CAM tree templates are great. They're super simple to do. So that was really the first place that I wanted to start off was with these CAM tree templates and how quickly you can program parts when you set up some standard features. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to delete the CAM tree out. Okay. Actually, before I do that, I want to post the code. I'm going to post some code. There's another cool thing that's in here in V32 that I wanted to cover. The code, you'll see that there's a numbering block on the left side here, right? You have the ability now to select code from the preview here. You can right click and go to copy, and you can copy and paste code right out of there. Okay, so that is a new feature that we have, and I really do like it. And we've also done some things with subprograms as well. Now, let me see here. There's a question that came in. Will my hand-pick speeds and feeds work in a template? Yes, Mark. If you go in here, to be fair, I didn't go through and customize the speeds and feeds, but if you go in here and you uncheck use system feeds and speeds and you default what these speeds and feeds are, when you save this as a template, all of those speeds and feeds will come over as well. Okay, so good news there. Speeds and feeds, depth of cut, whatever the settings you have for those features, they're going to carry over. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. Again, this one over here was just a quick tip. You can Windows select and you can copy the code out of here. Really pretty cool. Now, let me see here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to delete. Actually, before I do that, there's a couple of things that I want to get into. Number one, if I edit this face feature here, you're going to notice this save defaults, right? So this is something, this is another customization level of the version 32. So if you always face off the workpiece, if you always start from a certain corner or you use a certain step over as just a standard either for a particular job, type of job or machine, you have the ability to save these defaults. You're going to see this save default parameter, and then it gives you the ability to create a new template or one of the existing ones. I have a couple that are in here. Okay, so this allows you to set up multiple templates, and that is what the big takeaway is when you're in the wizards. Okay, when you're in the wizards, you have the ability to save the settings or the default settings for those wizards now. And this was just never possible before. You could save a feature, but you'd have to load it separately. Okay, now if you look at this, let me close this out. If I come up to my system default, these are my templates here. So I have the ability to switch what the default settings for the wizards are, even in process, right? So that is super cool. How do you extend planar toolpath off the part to make a cleaner toolpath? John, we'll get into that here in a little bit. The first thing again is talked about job tree templates. The other one we talked about was the wizard defaults, how you can create different templates for the wizard defaults so you can really customize your experience here. Okay. Another level that I want to get into here has to do with the machining side, right? So I'm going to just load in a 3-axis feature. We're going to do a 3-axis feature, and when you see machining strategy, you're going to see the default strategy group. These are all the different machining strategies that come preloaded in the software, pre-configured, and then below that, you're going to see this user-defined templates, okay? And what this allows you to do, this is like save and load, okay? But the difference between save and load, I'd have to go, when I was trying to load a feature, I'd have to go to load feature, and then it's going to go to a directory, right? In this case, now I'm able to save those user-defined machining strategies, and I'm able to call them from right within the wizard. So I'm right here in the wizard, and these can be my go-to strategies, right? And there are a couple of strategies that I want to review today that I think are super, super helpful. So CAM tree templates, wizard defaults, okay, and user-defined machining strategies. These are all found in the version 32. So if you're a version 32 customer, you'll have access to this. If you're not, I recommend you upgrade, okay, because it will definitely be worth it. Some of the best features I've seen come out in the system for a while, and these aren't like some new super cut my part button. This is just every day, day in and out. How do I make the software easier and faster? And the templates, the wizard defaults, and the user-defined strategies are definitely going to accomplish that. All right, let's see here. All right, just so you guys know, I'm the only one on the webinar. I will do my best to answer these questions very quickly. Tony had a question. Could you also have blank file, square block, drop part into merge? Yeah, Jeff, there's ways that you can work around it, where you could have a part set up with all these features, and then you could remove that part and bring in a new one. So there are definitely workarounds if you don't have the templates. Again, then you could go through and reselect all your features. In my opinion, this is a cleaner, better, faster workflow. It's going to be easier for you. And again, these are just some of the beginning topics that I wanted to cover. There's some other really good features that are in here that you guys are going to like. Okay, so again, I just touched on the CAM tree templates. I talked about the user-defined machining strategies, and I talked about the toolpath wizard defaults, right? John's got a question here. I don't know if I can answer that right now. Where are all the user files stored so you can save to a USB if the system goes down? It depends on where you're at, John. There's the machine definition file. There's your post-processor file. There's your mtool file for your tool library. There's your material library. There's new directories in the software for these templates and machining strategies. There is even a converter to take features you've saved and convert them into machining strategies, user-defined machining strategies. So you can load all those features that you have and bring them right into the user interface. So a lot to cover there, and I'm not going to get into directories right now, but I can send you a follow-up on that. Okay? All right, so what I want to do at this point is I just want to, yes, it also brings in the stock setting, Jeremy. Yes, it also brings in your machine setup. I want to delete this here. Okay, I'm just going to delete the whole tree. Okay, and I want to get into the stock settings. So now I have a lot of people in here, right? Does anybody, whether you're new to BobCAD or not, do you have a question about the stock wizard and the zeros? Because that's a topic that I'm on right now. It's the stock wizard, stock shapes, and orientation. Those two I want to cover real quick. Okay, so I'm going to create a new job. And again, you can either use the buttons, okay, so you can do new job here, you can do new job here, or you can right click on the CAM folder and do a new job, okay? Now, when you're creating a new job, you pick the job type, you pick the machine. This section here, this default parameters template, this is the, okay, great question. How do you set up multiple stock pieces? Very good. This default parameter template here, this is the wizard defaults that you're using. Okay, so I'm just going to use system default in this example. But if you can see I have like Haas here, or micro lathe, or MX3, or my template, or router, right? So you can set up different ones. I'm just going to stick with the system defaults for now. Is there a way to work without defining the stock? That's another great question there as well, and I'm going to answer that in just a moment. Okay, so we pick our job, we pick our machine. Okay, our first step that we really need to do is you need to run the stock wizard. So that's part of what Brandy's question was. Do you need to run the stock wizard every time? You do need to run the stock wizard every time if you're creating a new job. Okay, if you're creating a new job. If you're creating a new job from template, the stock wizard will already have been run. If you're creating, if you're starting a file from a document template, the stock is already created as well. You would have already created it. So if you're starting from scratch, yes, you got to run the stock wizard. But after you've already set up a job and you create some templates, whether a document template or a CAM tree template, then no, you wouldn't have to set up the stock because it would already be set up. Okay, you do it one time and reuse it other times. All right, so workpiece selection. So I start the stock wizard. It wants to know what the workpiece is. The workpiece is your part model. Okay, so we select that. We're going to choose next. Now, when we get in here, these are your different types of stock. So you got rectangular. Rectangular is just going to put a box around it. You have cylindrical, right? So that will put cylindrical stock, like bar stock, right? Okay, you have solid model. One of the questions was, how do you set up multiple pieces of stock? I think solid model is a great way to do it. If you choose solid model, you could pick a model off the screen, and then that now becomes your stock model. If you had multiple bodies, you could select multiple bodies, and then you would have two bodies for your stock model. Okay, all right. The other one here is STL. If you're going from STL, you would pick it from a directory. All right, so you save the STL in a directory. Can you copy and paste a mill job in the same job? No, you can't copy and paste the job. Let me get this job going here. So I'm going to go back to rectangular. I'm going to do calculate. Okay, you know, one of the things that you'll notice is there is this stock orientation. So you got the size of your stock, then you have stock orientation. In the event that your stock was kicked up on some kind of angle, you can use the stock orientation in order to align the stock to the part. That's not the case here because everything's flat, but again, that's what this stock orientation is for. The next one here that I want to get to, there's a couple of things that are happening in this particular dialog. One of them is setting our, here, let's just kind of hide those. One of them is setting up our orientation, or this is your This is your machine 0, your work offset, right? Now, we put these points all the way around on the screen for you, so we make it very easy for you to pick it. This one right here, origin, left click in there, okay? You can move over one of the snap points, or if you click on a line close to that end snap point, it will snap to that position. This is my work offset, my G54, right? All my initial moves will be based off of this position, okay? So we put up a bounding box on the screen for you. If you don't want to use the bounding box, you could pick off your surface edges, okay? So I could grab a surface edge here, and you can see some of the snap points come up with surface edges. You could also utilize some wireframe, and then you'll get all the snap points. So you can pick a 0 wherever you want, whether it's from a surface edge, whether it's from the bounding box that we create, or whether you create some additional wireframe. So let me give you an example. I want to come in here, and let's say I want to set the center of this circle as my 0. You can see with the surface edge, I only get one position to snap to. See, I only get one position to snap to. I'm going to leave that position there and choose OK. So if I click on my machine setup, it will show me where that coordinate system is. I actually want it on the center of the circle, not on this edge here, right? Well, with the surface edge, I don't get the center snap. What I'll do very quickly is create a new layer. I'm going to do create 2D, extract edges. I'm going to leave it where it's located. I'm just going to pick this face here. I'm going to choose OK and cancel. All right, what that's done is generated all the wireframe for that profile. And now that I have that wireframe, I can use different snap points. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to, again, edit my machine setup. I'll go to origin. Now when I move over this arc, you can see I get all of these different points, right? So I get the middle point and the 0, 45, 90. So I'll move that to 0 and I'll say OK. All right. So if you're trying, this could be for your second setup. It could be a part that you've already programmed. The initial bounding box that the software gives you will be at the extremes of the part. You can choose an origin that is anywhere on your part, but if there's only surface edges, you'll be limited to with your snaps. Okay, if you extract your wireframe, you'll have additional snaps that you'll be able to utilize. Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and cancel this out. Let me edit this. I'm going to go to this origin here. I'm just going to snap it to this back corner, which is fine. You'll notice that there's this other section here below here. This is what work offset we're in. We're in work offset number 1. This pick a point, this has to do with the machine simulation. So if you have machine simulation, you can use a reference point for where the part would be located on the machine or in your work holding. Okay, so that is a new feature there, and then also displays the values for you so you can adjust them. All right, so this, I have my stock setup, my 0 setup. The other thing that I want to go real quick is this option here under setup default. You have reset stock coordinate, and then you have this keep bounding box, right? So I like to be able to keep this bounding box, so this way I can use it if I'm in a second setup or something along those lines. I'm just going to click keep bounding box. I'm going to choose OK. And now I have my job set up, and then I also have all the extreme location of my stock for the part. Okay. All right, let me see here. Let me back up just a minute. Does the template bring in the stock settings? Yes. Multiple pieces of stock. Okay, so in this case right now, I just have one piece of stock here. I have one setup. I have one piece of stock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just translate. I'm going to translate this bounding box. I'm going to translate it. I'm going to make a copy. I'm just going to drag this up. Let me see here. It looks like it got stuck on something. Let me see, as it crunches on that, something might be eating my memory. What I'm trying to do is just take this rectangle, translate it out. So I'll have two sketches. Wireframe is one of the forms of stock. If you're trying to create multiple stock shapes, a good way to do this is to just copy out some wireframe and use your wireframe as your boundary. All right, I'm not sure exactly. It seems to be choking on something, so I think I'm going to kill it. Give me just a second here, guys. It got stuck on something, so what I did is I just killed it, and I'm just going to start it back up. It might have freed up. I'm not sure. Why do I think that happened? I think that's due to a conflict with a application in the background, is what I believe is happening there. Okay, so let me get into this again. All right, so let me just kind of start over here. New job, milling job. We're going to run our stock wizard. We're going to select our workpiece. Again, we have our different stock types. This one, wireframe, this is what we'll use if you have, you can have multiple boundaries where they're all on the same level, and then you can just extrude it down to add multiple bodies there, okay? I'm going to go to next here, origin. We're going to snap back to this corner. I want to add a new layer over here. I'm going to choose keep bounding box. Again, I want to pick a point for where my part is going to sit on my table, and then I'll choose OK. All right. I'm going to come over here and I'll hide out the stock. Okay. So let me see what else we got here. Is there a way to do it? Okay. Yes, you can create a template, and then that way you can set the stock up once and use it over and over again. Can you just copy and paste the mill job in the same job? I don't think you can copy and paste the job. Okay. You can't copy and paste the job within a job, but you can insert a job into, let me see, create new job from template. We're going to do this one. We're going to say OK. So I could have a blank job here. This is the first one that I just started, and then I can insert a template for another job. So can't just copy and paste it. You got to save the job as a template, save it, save the job as a template, create a job, and then you can create a job from a template to insert that one in here. Let's go ahead and delete that out. All right, let's see here. Solid model stock, no extra material. Can you extend? Yes, let me turn the transparency of the stock up or down here. Okay, so right now it's at the bounding box for the part model. If you want to adjust the stock size, you have this plus or minus value you can use on either side, or you can type in the dimension as well. Okay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and choose OK on this. Let's see here. Yes, you can extend. What is the best way to add 100th L all the way around the size to expand the stock? The best way to do that is just to go to the stock wizard and go 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, right? So that's in X and Y. If you want it on top, you can do 0.1 on top. If you want it on bottom, you can do 0.1 on bottom, right? So that's the easiest way to add stock all the way around. Let's see, after creating a machine axis, and you can duplicate UCs yet. No, you can't duplicate a UCS. Over here, these are your UCSs. You can, well, I guess it not necessarily can't duplicate. You could create a new UCS based on a location. Okay. Now you have this UCS over here, right? Now, if you want to take that UCS, you could add a new UCS from where that one is located, and you could say translate, maybe 2 inches over in Y. So now you've created two new UCSs, the first one, and then you translated the second one. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for there, but that is something you can do. Okay, let me get back to a top here. Let me get over here. We still got a lot of topics to go and running out of time quickly. Let me change this, draw it down a little bit. Okay. All right, so solid model defines part though. Glad to see that it's not on my end when it crashes. Yeah, I don't normally, I mean, I do a lot of live videos on Facebook, Michael, and it doesn't happen all the time. Again, I'm not running a supercomputer here. I'm not sure exactly what that one was, but it got stuck on something and we killed it. Use just machine axis. I'm not sure what you mean there. Can you create a 45-degree UCS? Yes, you can create a new UCS. We could just leave it where it is. We're going to say OK. Then we can come in here and modify this UCS, and then you can say rotate, and you could say 45 this way or minus 45 that way. Super easy to do. Okay, so hopefully that answers those questions. Now, again, the next feature I want to get into here, there's so much stuff. It's so cool. All right, I want to talk about facing, right? So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to come down to mill facing. All right, and you'll notice there was a little calculation that happened. So we defined our stock, we defined our workpiece. BobCAD is automatically finding our boundary for our facing cycles now. So you no longer need to draw a boundary for the facing cycle. It's going to find that facing parameter automatically. It will look at your stock. It will look at your workpiece. It'll figure out the depth, and away you go. Now, in this case, it's probably got a 1/2-inch cutter in here, but you'll see how we were able to generate a facing cycle on the top of the part without creating a boundary. Okay? All right, so that's one of them. Now, the other thing, this topic here, it comes up so much. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to share this with you. And I think it's a great feature that if you all aren't using currently, you should be. A lot of times after you face off the part, or maybe even before you faced off the part, you want to rough your material from the outside in, but you don't want it to go down to any cavities, right? So we have 2 cavities in here. We don't want the tool to go down into this cavity. We want to just rough all the material from the outside. Does that sound like something you guys would want to do? Go ahead and comment yes if it sounds like something you'd want to do. Again, we have our part here. Yep, Jeremy says yes. Ray says yes. Larry says yes. John says yes. Michael says yes. Of course you do. It's like the best feature ever, and it's so easy to set up. Let's show you. Okay, you right click. You come down and you go to your 3-axis routine. I do it now. Okay, Steve, perfect. You go to select geometry, right? You select your model. I'm window picking the whole thing. We're going to say okay. The strategy to do this with is going to be the advanced rough, okay? Advanced rough is the strategy. You'll set up your tool. I'm going to use a 1/2-inch tool, okay? You'll set your pattern. I'm going to use the adaptive roughing style. Set your depth. Usually it's twice diameter cutting, so this would be like 1 inch, but I'm just going to set it to a 1/2 inch. Okay, your step over, depending on material, tool provider, work holding, your equipment, this could be 1% to as much as 100%, right? In this case, I'm just going to set it at 200, all right? Machining tolerance is how accurate the cut is. I'm just going to loosen it up. Here, I'm going to do a side and bottom allowance. I want to leave stock on the side, but I don't want to have any stock left on the floor. Where do I want it to cut to? I want it to cut to the bottom of my surfaces. Okay, that's where I want it to cut to. All right, the important part here is on the leads part, you want to uncheck center cutting. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Uncheck center cutting. This is going to come out great. Other than that, I'm going to just compute this. All right, so my expectation is for the tool to do an adaptive routine, working from the outside in, but not machining down into these cavities here, okay? All right, this is a great feature. You definitely want to get used to this. I'm sure it's something you're going to use all the time. Does that make sense how to do that? Mike, John, Larry, Jeremy, if you need more clarity with it, let me know. Again, all I'm doing here is on the leads page, I'm unchecking center cutting, and that will stop the tool from plunging into those cavities. All right. Got about 20 minutes left and a number of features I want to go through. Okay, so that is that one there. Now, the next thing I want to touch on real quick, anybody using, seems good, okay, anybody using fixtures for your work holding where you need to reposition them. You may clamp the part down and you want to rough as much as you can, and then you're going to need to reposition the clamps to continue to remove the material. Steve says he does it, I believe. Anybody else do that? Let me know if you do that kind of work. If you do, you're going to like this feature. I'm going to sketch just the very basic, let's say -3 here. Let's make this 4. Okay, I'm just going to sketch a very basic example of some strap clamp or toe clamp or what have you, right? All right, so I'm going to take that. This one I'm going to extrude down. This is representing where my clamp is. Okay. All right. It's very crude drawing, but it's going to work very well. Tom says, yeah, clamps, let's avoid them. Right. So that's representing my clamps. And what I want to do is I don't want any tool path to come into where those clamps are where I'm holding this part. Okay. So first off, you can add fixtures into your CAM tree now, right? So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to select that one. That represents my CAM tree. Or I'm sorry, that represents my fixture. Okay, so this is beneficial when you get into simulation. You can show and hide that fixture. More importantly, has to do with this toolpath here. Let's edit this feature. We're going to come over to parameters on the mill advanced roughing. Okay, below you have your allowances. So this is side or bottom, right? But then there's this advanced tab that we added in version 32. Okay. All right, Leon, we'll see you next time. Haven't seen you in a while. It'd be great to follow up with you here soon enough, right? Okay, so we're going to go to the advanced option here. Okay, we're going to say use setup fixture, so I don't have to select anything, and then I'm just going to give it a global clear. That's probably too much. Okay, I'm going to give it a global clearance amount. So this will trim away any toolpath that comes within a 1/4 inch of that. Yeah, definitely. Come in within a 1/4 inch of those fixtures. So we're going to go ahead and say OK on this, and I'm going to compute. Now, it's possible, and I was expecting that it could error. If your clearance plane isn't above where these fixtures are, then it's gonna yell at you, right? So let's go back and edit that. I'm just going to go to my I think it's the rapid plane here. I'm going to set this one to 1. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to change where my my setup clearance is. Okay. So that I can just hover over this here, and I'm just going to make this 5, apply. Okay. Let me recompute. So I just had to adjust some clearances. And what we'll see is that the toolpath is now staying away from that clamp. See how we can put our strap clamp or anything in there. We can say, hey, we want to avoid this. You can tell it how much you want to avoid it by, and easily remove any issues with running into your clamps, okay? And then we can reposition. This is actually a really nice new feature, and if you guys aren't utilizing it, I would definitely recommend it. While I'm in here, I'm actually going to just select these 2 and delete them. Let me, while I'm in here, there's another setting that I want to get into as well. Let me turn this off. This is another important feature. If you're a Haas user, say, yes, I run Haas. If you're running Haas, you definitely are going to want to know about this feature here. Haas has, there's a couple of Haas guys in here. Haas has what's called the dogleg rapid. Dogleg rapids can get you in trouble, okay? What we did to eliminate, there's a couple of things you can do in order to, so Mike, Jim, Matt, Jeremy, Larry, Mark, there's a lot of Haas guys in here, okay? What you can do to eliminate some of these dogleg problems is on your links, you know, you have an option within the different toolpaths to force it to go to clearance, right? Rapid retract for large gaps, this one right here. But there are scenarios where you may not be aware that this rapid is going on, or it might not be clear, or maybe you didn't check that. So what you can do is, yeah, I can go through that with you. It's not too bad, Michael. What I can do here is go to my advanced feed rates, right? So in the advanced feed rates, there's a couple of different things that you can control. The one that I wanted to focus on here is convert. This is general override, convert rapid to feed. This is going to map your G00s to a G01 at a user-defined feed rate. Okay, that eliminates the dog legs. So by eliminating the dog legs, you're good at that point. Okay, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about unexpected motion. So this is a great option for you guys to know about. Now, all right, let's go ahead and get in the simulation here real quick. Again, keep in mind, day 3 will probably finish up some of these programming topics and get into more of the simulation. But I wanted to touch on this real quick. We're going to do next. We're going to do next. And what this will do is show us our in-process stock right here. Okay. From there, we can save our stock. Let's just go to desktop here. We can save our stock out, right? So this is, I'm going to just adjust this so we can say save. All right, we can close this. Okay, so we saved our in-process stock out. Now what we want to do is just copy this feature and paste it. So I have the same settings. I'm going to reselect my geometry here. So that says what I want to cut. Okay, in here, you're going to see this option called operation stock. So operation stock allows you to define the in-process stock. We're going to say STL file. We're going to come in here and grab that STL file. That tells the software where the in-process stock is. And then we can compute from here. And it should just target this material on the ends to clean up what was left over. Let me blank this one out. So we're going to blank that one out. And we'll look at this one. And you can see it's just targeting where the leftover material is. I think there's an option in here. Let me see. Not in this. If we were doing rest roughing, we could use detect stock thicker than. This would allow us to get rid of some of the whisper cuts, right? Is what I'm looking at there. But we're not using rest roughing here. We do see some steps in over here, and I believe that may just have to do with the stock that I was leaving and the size tool that I'm using. But you could see how it was able to target these areas here. There are other approaches to that as well, but that was just real quick. Hopefully that was helpful there for you, Michael. It sounds like it was. Okay, so to backtrack here real quick, we have our facing cycle. You don't need to draw a boundary. The software will find one for you. Okay. With our advanced roughing, if you come in here, there's a couple of topics. Number 1, uncheck center cutting. It will eliminate your plunge moves. Now, I'm going to preface this. This is great for your first roughing cycle. If you're getting into rest roughing and things like that, you're not going to have the same predictability as you will with your first op, as a rough cycle. So good earlier in the process. As you get further in the process, if the tool has to link and relink in a lot of places, this may not work in all scenarios, okay? Just a little preface there for you. But unchecking center cutting, it eliminates it from going down into these holes here, right? Okay. The other one that we have here, this is utilizing fixtures. Again, within the feature, under the advanced area, you can use the setup fixture, and anything down in this area here will trim away your toolpath. It actually doesn't trim it away. It changes the boundary. But this area here is to, bump up or move your toolpath away from your work holding. This area up here, you could add additional surfaces and add additional tolerances. So this will bump them up. This one actually changes the boundary. Okay. All right, let's see. Got about 10 minutes here, a couple other things to cover. Okay. Let me let's delete that. Let me see. What do I got here? Remove. I have this I have some kind of something going on here. I can't really tell. It's like the STL file merged into the file. So I'm not really sure exactly what that is. Let me go to here. It's going to open up the same one. All right, let me do this. Somehow I got the body. It's all jacked up. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to open this one back up and I'll just copy the file. All right, copy. Come in here. Paste. Okay, so we're back to there. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but let's keep going here. Let's blank all of these out. Okay, I'm going to remove these boundaries. That was just a quick example for your workflow. David, in simulation, can you see the fixture clamp have been cut if happened to get cut? If the tool runs into the fixture, it will show up. You can use it as part of your checking groups, David. So yes, if there is a collision with your tool, your holder, your workpiece, or your fixture, all of that is being utilized within the simulation checking. So yes, that is correct. Now, all right, so we talked about center cutting, non-center cutting with advanced rough. We talked about the fixture avoidance. The other one here, again, this topic comes up a lot, which is why I wanted to cover it. Would you have been in the data entry to delete? Matt, I'm not really sure what happened there, why it seemed like the STL and the solid body got connected. I'm not sure, so I'll have to look at that again. I wasn't planning on bringing in the stock as an STL. I don't normally have an issue with it, so I'm not sure exactly what that was. But okay. So I want to talk about these pockets here and doing this with a pilot hole, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is drill hole, select geometry, and I'm just going to pick these points. Okay, when I pick those points, I want those points to represent how deep I'm going to drill. So in order to do that, I'm going to say use as bottom, and we'll say OK. From here, you can see it picked up the bottom. It defaulted to a 1/2 inch because there was no circle that I selected, so I can increase or decrease that hole size very quickly. I can come to my machining process. I can set whether I'm going to spot it or drill it. I can come in and pick my spot. I can come in and pick my drill, compute that. My clearance is a little high there, but that's okay. This one's going to come down. Oh, I actually set it to 5 inches. Let me bring it back down. Okay, so I want to change where my clearance is so I can hover over this. This is back to 1. Enter, apply. Okay, I'm just going to recompute. Let me see here. I expected. All right, so it was set to 1 or set to 5. I changed it over there. I might need to do another reselection process to get that to come down, but that's okay. All right, so we got our holes drilled. Again, the takeaway on this one was being able to pick the point locations and use that as the depth for the drill. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is set up a pocket cycle here. So this is insert mill to axis. Okay, and we're going to do pocketing. And I'm going to show you guys another really cool feature of V32. So let's just do one of these. I'm going to do offset out for now. That's fine. I'm not too concerned with the settings here. Okay, so we drilled this pilot hole, and now we want the tool to start in that pilot hole. I'm going to right-click on my boundary here. I'm going to right-click on this edge to select it. Again, I have my profile chain for my start point, and I have how deep I'm going to go. All right, I'm just going to say 1 inch deep, and then we'll choose OK. All right, So we're going to go 1 inch deep. Now, in order for the software to pick up this drill tip position, that you need to select a point that's located at the depth that you drilled the hole to. Okay, so we're going to right click on this drill tip position, go to reselect. We're going to pick this point location and we'll choose OK. Now, when we compute this, the tool will start in that center position. See how it starts in that center position and then it links out. Okay, so that was kind of cool. But and again, whether you're using adaptive or any other of the other strategies, you can pick that point. The limitation with pocketing is you can only pick 1 point per boundary. So in this case, I have 2 of them. I would need to do 2 features in order to pick 2 start points. If you're in advanced rough, because you can do the same thing in advanced rough, you can pick as many start points as you want. Okay, so just a little caveat there. Now, that's not the cool part. The cool part is this. Okay, so you want to test out different toolpath patterns, right? Let me just remove this position. Okay, what you can do is you can copy, paste. Okay, paste. Okay, so now I have 3 different pocket operations tied to this feature. Okay, I can come in here and edit. So this one was the offset out. Okay, well, this one, let's make it the morph spiral. And this one, well, what would the adaptive look like? Okay, so now I can come in here and compute and see what that one looks like. And come in, this one's going to take more to calculate, but let's compute this one and see what that one looks like. Okay, I can blank everything in the cam tree. Let me turn it all off. All right, now, okay, so there's the offset pocket. This one's the morph spiral. Okay, this one's the adaptive. All right, no, I didn't pick the drill tip position. So if I pick that for each one, you'll see these all support the ability to drill a pilot hole. Okay, so you're probably like, oh, I knew I could copy it. What's so cool about that? Well, what's so cool about that is not only can you copy it, right? So I copied it. I can look at this one. That one's all right. This one, that's all right. Oh, you know what? I want to go with this one. Now, how do you get rid of these operations? That's the thing. Well, highlight, delete. Boom, that one's gone. Highlight, delete. Boom, that one's gone. Okay, so you can delete your operations from the cam tree. Again, that's a pretty cool thing. Let me see. I'm sorry. Trying to catch up with some of these messages here. Give me a second. We have just a few minutes left here today. We're definitely going to spill over into day 3 to continue on with some of these topics here. Yes, if the tool runs into the clamping simulation, you'll see it. Would it have been in the data? No. Okay, so no new questions. Okay, all right, very good. So again, you can pick your drill tip position. You can see it's singular. Drill tip position is for pocket. If you're in the advanced rough, this one says drill tip positions, plural. This will allow you to select multiple ones. Copy and paste from a different file. I love it. Absolutely. Off topic, you minute. How do you control the amount of zoom in and out with the mouse wheel? I don't know, like how much it clicks. Every mouse wheel is a click. I don't know about that one. How quick is it seeing time for each of the milling functions? You know, I'm really glad you asked that question, Michael. Okay, because in version 32, you have these flyouts here, and boom, it tells you what that cycle time is. It tells you for this feature what the information is about the feature, right? Now, if you come in here and you go to the operation, then this will tell you information about the operation, okay? Now, what if you want to change your feeds and speeds? Bam! Click that button right there. You're into edit. Now you can come in here and adjust this. So, you know, you could say, well, we're really going to be running at 1800 RPM and this is going to be 25. You know, you hit apply. Okay, by doing that, you're going to be able to see the difference in your cycle time. So this is a great way. But in day 3, we're going to go over more reporting tools. That's what day 3 is really about. Okay, I just got a couple minutes left here. Let me see. So we did our pocket. We're able to drill a pilot hole and cut the pocket. The last thing I want to get into has to do with, I mean, there's toolpath patterns. Okay, I'm going to run over is what I'm going to do because I want to cover these two. We still got a lot of people that are in here. So I want to cover, hey, Randy, how we doing today? It's not going to be on the support site, but because you signed up, you'll get an email of this recording. Okay. I want to cover. So I did the advanced pocket with the start point. I want to cover profile selection. For a lot of you guys, this is probably pretty normal, but I want to get in here and do a profile. 2-axis, select geometry. Okay. I only have surface edges here, but if it's wireframe, you're going to do shift left click. Should you? I don't think so, Tom. I don't think you have to recalculate it if you just change the feed rate, but it does depend on which toolpath you're using, because some of them have feed rate mapping by volume or by we're Eastern time, Tim. Some of it by volume, by chip thinning. There's depends on which toolpath you're using. So if it's one where the toolpath uses the calculation, if you've signed up for today's webinar, you will get an email of this webinar. So it depends. I think in most cases, no, Tom. In some cases, yes. All right. I want to talk about these profiles here. And again, I'm just dealing with surface edges. What do we do to select these, right? So I just right click on these edges and I choose constant Z, and that will pick up all the geometry that's at the same Z level. If you have wireframe, it's going to be shift left click in order to do a chain selection. All of the geometry you selected will be in the geometry selection manager. Okay, so these are all the edges. If you wanted to remove an edge, you can remove an edge. If you want to clear it all, you can clear it all. Okay. The next section is the profile chains. So if there was multiple chains, those would be listed here. If you click on the chain, you're going to see this arrow, right? So this arrow indicates the direction of cut and the lead-in position. I'm going to move that arrow over here. How did I move it over there? There's snap points for arcs at 0, 45, 90. For lines, it's going to be the end point. So it's either going to be on the end point or the middle. Okay. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to set this for climb milling. Okay. Now I want to set my depth, right? So I'll come in, pick up the depth or enter the depth. I'm going to choose OK. All right. Now from here, I'm just going to do a profile rough. Next, set my tool. Okay. Set my lead in. I'm just going to do a right angle lead in here. Hit compute. There we go. That's how you set your profile direction and start point. Okay, now we're climb milling here. What if I wanted the conventional mill? I could reverse this and recompute, but now it's on the inside of the shape. I need to change what side the offset is. I do that by editing the patterns, and I can change my comp from left to right. Compute. Now I'm climb milling, right? One of the reasons, or I'm sorry, conventional milling. But one of the reasons why I bring this up is some shops, if you're a woodworker, you may always conventional mill, and the software has been defaulted to climb milling settings. Now you can come in here, okay, under your pattern, I want it set to right, okay? I want every time when I'm calling a profile, I want my pattern system comp set to right. Save default. Pick the default parameter that you want to use, the template. I'm going to set this to router. Save. Okay. Now, anytime I'm using the router profile, my comp will be set to conventional style. All right. So again, you can customize all the different settings that are in here. Super great feature. In the box, you got to get it on the system and have some seat time, and it will catch up for you. Okay. Profile selection and start point. That's fine. That is about what I wanted to cover there. Those are the topics. The last two topics that I have on my talking points here have to do with toolpath patterns versus work offset patterns. And in my opinion, this is one of the best features we've ever added to the BobCAD software. Just super helpful, especially for mixed part short run production shops. Okay. The work offset patterns is a great thing, but the first thing I want to do is do a toolpath pattern so we can talk about the difference. Okay, a toolpath pattern if we were going to cut a strip of parts out of the material, we can come down in here, we can say add toolpath pattern, and there's a number of ways you can do this: array, translate, rotate, or points. Okay, this has been around since version 24. Okay, the benefit of this is you can program it once. You know, you can say, hey, I want 2 copies in Y, so let's make this, I don't know, 8 inches apart. I want 2 copies. This is going to be 0 copies that way. Boom. You know, I can take the part that I programmed. I can either do the whole setup or I could do individual features, and then I can post this all out. That's great. Very easy to do. It's generating the code for all of these features 3 times, and it's posting in a single work offset. Okay, how many of you are running like 1 up, 2 up, 3 up type programming? Same part in 2 or 3 vices or 4 vices at a time. Are you doing 54, 55, 56, and you're cutting the same part 3 to 5? Mark says yes. Larry says yes. David says yes. Jim says yes. Yes, yes. Everybody says yes because it's so common, okay? With subs, even a better way to go. So, Toolpath Patterns hasn't gotten that done. What does get it done? Work offset patterns, okay? So, how do we do that? Let's delete this guy here, all right? Let's get rid of that. We're in our machine setup here. We're going to right click. Okay, instead of coming down here where it says add toolpath pattern, all right, we're going to go up here, work offset pattern. Okay, you go to the work offset pattern. This is the dialog. There's a couple of different things that this does. The idea behind this is not only will it post the code in 54, 55, 56, you can post either by tool dominant, so it will post that tool across all work offsets, or you can do it by work offset dominant, which it will program everything or post everything in the first work offset before it goes to the next one. Okay. The other thing that it's going to do is pattern the stock, pattern the fixture, pattern the workpiece. So this way, because a lot of you guys may have machine simulation, this way you can do this and be able to see your part, be able to see your fixture, be able to simulate it and check for spacing and clearances and everything. So a great feature. Gary said, does that feature, does 31 have that feature? No. Version 31 does not have this feature. Work offset pattern began in version 32. Now, there are some 31 users that have a CFP, custom or CPF, custom post function. Basically a scripted post that will do a similar thing. But as a scripted post, it's something you pay for. In my opinion, both of the methods work well, but my recommendation is to be on the current software. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how long you've been doing it. Version 32 is the product you want to be on for a number of reasons. But most importantly, because it's the best stuff that we have, and there's some really good features in there. So this one, if you want to do work offset patterns, might as well call that 877 number and order your copy of 32 today. All right, so there's a couple of things that this does. You got a pattern here for an array. I'm not going to get into too much detail of how exactly this works, but I'm going to do... I forget the sizes of it, but I'm just going to do 2 of these. I'm going to generate these copies. So I'm going to program the same part in 3 total work offsets. Let me unblank it. I have the option of whether it's displayed or not. Okay. What I want to do is come into my current settings. So I'm going to go to current settings. I want to go to my posting. I want to output with subprograms. Okay, I want to post this. I probably should turn off some of this stuff. But, okay, so you can see we're getting 54 to a subcall, 55 to a subcall, 56 to a subcall, 54 to a subcall, 55, 56, right? Super, super stuff. John has a question. Does V7 do this? No, V7 does not do this, but V8 will do this, okay? All right, so you got all your subs here. This goes on down the line, or it's doing all the sub calls. And then down here is where all your subs are. So, again, this is just a great feature. Always consecutive as far as 54, 55, 56. Does it come back 54, like, okay, 54, 55, 56, and then have it come back 56, 54, 55? It does it in order. As far as the order of the operation or the order of the work offsets it posts with, yes, it's consecutive, but there are some options in here as far as your order. I think you can move these. This is in the creation method. You can move them up or down. So there may be the ability to switch some of the ordering there. I haven't gotten into that a whole bunch, Mark. So I'd have to look into that some more, but I believe that to be the case is that you can change the order that they're in. This is, I turned the display on it so we can see it, even though they're running into each other. Okay, you're welcome. All right. Toolpath Patterns, great for strip style machining, single work offsets. Work offset patterns, great for 2 up, 3 up, post with subs, really good things. The editor, the NC editor supports simulation of those subs. So yeah, definitely a great thing. Thanks, Al. Very good webinar. Looking forward to day 3. Regards. Yes, thank you so much, Barry, for showing up here today. Day 3 is going to be next Wednesday. If you guys haven't already signed up, I would recommend doing so. You will get an email, reply email based on your sign up here, and with the recording, and then also a link to sign up for the next one. So yes, thank you so much, Michael. That's the whole idea. We're trying to help you guys with the best tools that we have. Thank you so much for everybody participating here today. If you guys are on Facebook, I know I haven't been doing webinars every day, but I've been doing Facebook Lives for months now. Join the After Dark Facebook group. Great place for peer support and to talk to other users. Look out for that email when we the email that we'll send with the registration for day 3 and the recording of day 1. I may include the recording of day 1 and day 2, so that way Larry makes sure that he gets his. Tony, thank you so much. Happy to see you in here today. Michael, thank you so much. Give me just a moment again. Let me see here. Let's go to here. And let's, from current slide, let me see here. Again, with BobCAD, you can expect fewer steps, better cuts, more profit. You guys have any questions, make sure to call us 877-333-4903. If you're not on version 32, call and order your copy today. You will be glad that you did. Thank you guys so much. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.